Welcome everyone to my review of IDW Sonic's Bad Guys Issue 3. Things are about to get interesting among the assembled group of villains. Before we get into it, let's recap the previous part, and once again, spoilers will be at Omega levels. Starline outlined a two-part plan to get revenge on Eggman. The first step is to raid an Eggman base containing power cores, energy balls of a certain type that can power up a person. This will allow them to accomplish Step 2. Take over an Eggman communications hub to alter data and control a bunch of badniks. The Power Core raid was a success thanks to the group using their skills at various points. During the operation, we get into Starline's head a little more. He considered keeping some of the group around, especially after witnessing Rough and Tumble destroy a robotic T-Rex, and whether he should go beyond conquering the world just to regain Eggman's favor. For the latter, he considered the idea after a brief chat with Zavik. For the former, he decided not to keep anyone around since they'll interfere with his long-term goals. One of them being met by the creation of the Tricore, a weapon that will allow him to go toe-to-toe with the heroes. Not to mention what's inside those green tubes. Those long-term goals are at risk because not only has Eggman caught wind of suspicious activity while inspecting the Power Core facility, there's trouble brewing within the bad guy group itself. You'll see. Starline signs into his computer to play a log entry he made earlier. AKA, here's some exposition. Things are going exactly as he planned so far, and unlike the single core gears he'll provide the others, the Tricore could be used hundreds of times. Once he gains control of the Egg Hub tomorrow, and thus control of Egg Base Sigma, he will dispose of the others. Okay, first, from an in-universe point of view, why detail this information in a log? And second, why play it back in such a way that it risks others seeing it? Like Zavik here. I'll talk about number 1 in the next section, but as for number 2, it's not Starline, it's Mimic. He took Starline's form to gain access to the logs to see what the Doctor was planning for them. Readers may get caught off guard at first due to the lighting of the panels, but a closer look at Starline reveals his eyes are off color. I was going to say that he lacked the Tricore, but the real Starline will not be wearing it for the rest of the issue. Zavik tells Mimic he knows about Starline's betrayal after getting a power core boost by grabbing it last issue. He wants to know if the adapters are rigged, and to the surprise of both, they're actually legit. Starline wants everyone to use them proficiently until the betrayal happens. However, Mimic won't give him the chance. Zavik quickly takes him outside. Before Mimic can commence with the stabby stab, they need Starline to hack into the Eggnet so they can get what they want. They just need to be patient enough to complete this mission tomorrow morning. That patience is put to the test when on the way to the hub, Rough and Tumble are working out new rhymes that incorporate the other members of the group. Always nice to bond before the betrayal, I say. When they arrive, Starline presents them with adapters containing a core closest to their physical traits. Rough gets a speed core, Mimic gets a flight core, and Tumble and Zavik get a power core. Starline's excuse for not wearing a core is he has no skills to enhance, but we all know better. The assault begins with Zavik and Mimic taking out the guard towers, and Tumble lifting the main gate. Mimic gets the primary building open so that Rough and Zavik can take care of the inner guards. Starline hacks into the central computer while Mimic is worried that Eggman will detect their presence. Don't worry, Mimic. Eggman already detected your presence when you took out the guard towers. Oh wait, that is something to worry about. Starline's already making sure Sonic's responsible, as well as feeding Eggman different coordinates. At Eggman HQ, he's about to head to the hub to carpet bomb the place when Orbot receives the alert about Sonic at a different location. Eggman, not taking any chances, decides to bomb both places now and sort things out later. How appropriate that in a story that features the power cores from Sonic Heroes, Eggman would break out the Egg Hawk. Back at the hub, just as Starline's about to claim Egg Base Sigma as his, Mimic holds him at knife point. He forces Starline to delete all data of him from the Eggnet and Zavik politely asks him to turn all badniks in the region over to him, with Zavik telling Rough and Tumble about Starline's betrayal, and that they can use the cores to wreak havoc. They turn on him as well. We end this part with the group ready to attack Starline, who's reaching for his tricore, all unaware that Eggman's about to pay them a visit. One of the things about reviewing an ongoing work is, sometimes you make mistakes. In this case, it's presuming one thing when it turns out it's something else entirely when you get a more complete picture in later installments. I've done it a number of times in past reviews, and chances are, I will do so in the future. Then again, it is part of the fun, speculating and guessing plot details that may or may not come to pass, as well as realizing you screwed up and need to correct things in later reviews. I originally thought the Power Core facility was Egg-based Sigma, because Starline wanted it for his long-term plans, remember? No, the Power Core facility was just another base that had something Starline needed in order to acquire Egg-based Sigma in the long run. Hey, all these egg bases are starting to look the same to me. Thanks to this issue, we get a more complete picture of Starline's goal in this miniseries. He wants Egg-based Sigma, but Eggman null and voided his access codes, so he came up with the most complicated plan B I've seen in a while. Break out a bunch of criminals who have a vendetta against Eggman, raid an egg base to acquire power cores, which in turn will be used to break into an Eggman hub, so Starline can take control of Egg-based Sigma from there. The plan could have worked if Starline wasn't planning on betraying the group. Zavik was right. He is as short-sighted as Eggman, even though he's still thinking about Zavik's words from last issue. You know, go beyond Eggman and such. Starline could have given them everything they wanted and just let them walk away. Let Eggman and the heroes deal with them. But no, he's worried about his long-term plans being ruined. You know, he could always do some adjusting if things don't quite work out a certain way. Now, everyone but him's gotten what they want for the moment. Starline's so stubborn and arrogant, he believes he can record an entry log no problem, completely forgetting that there's a shapeshifter in the group that can take your form to override any vocal lockouts. Time to beef up your verifications. It's amusing how Starline behaves just like his idol here, believing he can control individuals out of his league, only for it to backfire horribly. And one of these individuals betrayed Eggman in the past. His only ace is the Tricore, which Mimic and Zavik know about now. The core adapters the others are wearing, I suspect the reason they're not rigged is for Starline's benefit. They look similar to the one holding the Tricore, and while it worked in a lab setting, he needs to make sure they work in a combat situation. Hence the single-use core the others wore. In other words, they're guinea pigs, which ties back to what Starline thinks of his teammates. It's also a callback to the first issue in which Starline reluctantly tests his heel spurs in a combat situation. To be fair, the comic did imply this scenario. I'm just spelling it out for you. Interesting that the Tricore's usage is finite. We don't know what Starline meant by hundreds, but eventually, the thing will run out of power, which means Starline will have to create another, assuming he'll have any cores left after all of this. Isn't it odd that I'm starting to like Zavik? He's polite when he makes plans and threats, and a beast when it comes to combat. I think it's the way Ian writes him compared to the way he was written in the games. It's almost as if Zavik has a sense of honor to him, at least with those he considers allies. Maybe it's just wishful thinking on my part. The rough and tumble rhyming gag in the truck was amusing, and yet it's kind of sad. When you take into account Starline's feelings in this miniseries, it must have hurt them a little bit to realize that they were going to get betrayed by the guy, after that whole time trying to bond with them on the truck. Besides the stereotypical backstabbing, well, literal if Mimic has his way, there's also Eggman catching on to their activities. While Starline tried to reroute the alert signal to another location, he underestimated Eggman's tenacity. He will destroy both places, whether he thinks Sonic's there or not. This will be the event that'll pull the bad guy group together one last time before this mini-series ends. Maybe Starline can learn the value of teamwork, perhaps be less stubborn. It's easy to change priorities when a bigger threat comes for your life. Come back next time for the conclusion of the Bad Guys miniseries. See ya then. When bombing your enemies, make sure you do it in style, like Eggman here.